How fast can a free-to-play player beat Honkai Star Rail? Of course, I don't mean just beating the story. With enough caffeine, you can do that in one day. I mean beating all the endgame and reaching full stars. In my previous video, I talked about how I used Firefly to beat the game in 4 months, but that was a pretty casual playthrough. I played slowly and made many choices that were probably inefficient. Which got me thinking, with all the things I learned in that playthrough, could we beat the game in 2 months? What about 1 month? Let's boot up a new account and start this new project. The main goal is to see how much content we can clear in 1 month, ideally getting full stars in all of the endgame. I also have a couple of secondary research goals. In the previous playthrough I had access to the free Dr. Ratio and ended up relying on him pretty heavily. But that resource is obviously gone to new players starting today. I want to see how losing access to it affects these players. On the other hand, I didn't have access to Harmony main character in Hunt March 7 until much later in the project. So I also want to see how well this Super Break duo performs for new accounts, and whether it can fulfill the role of a secondary team while you get your account started. We finished the introduction section, and after a few more tasks get enough pulls to see what our starter banner gives us. And we pull Himiko, which is actually terrific. I was willing to reroll the account for Himiko or Bronya, but getting Himiko on the first try makes things easy. Himiko's in a great place right now. She pairs well with Herta, plays well in the Super Break team, and she has a lot of fire vulnerable targets in the current meta. Add to that the fact that Bronya isn't exactly what you want for Acheron Firefly and even Fei Xiao, and Himiko has a good case for being the best starter banner character right now. Our main goal for the first week is to finish the campaign and to get to Trailblaze level 50. Finishing the main story puts us in the mid 40s, and we need to do some additional questing to get us the rest of the way. The best sources of XP at this point are the Pokemon event and the Aurum Alley event, both of which give us a lot of XP as well as other rewards, without requiring player combat, which is something we want to avoid because our relics are really terrible at this point. Finishing these gets us to Trailblaze level 50, which is a significant milestone because this is the first point where we can get a decent return while farming trace materials, and this is the equilibrium level where we will spend most of our time during this project. In addition to farming traces, we also have many quests and events still to complete. But before we do that, the most time-sensitive thing is to do as much of Divergent Universe as possible before it resets. We should talk about the new 4-star characters at this point. Early on, Harmony main character is actually a bit difficult to use because unlike in endgame, the enemies are constantly changing weaknesses. But the new March makes things so much easier than before. The game allows you to do the March event right away, and the team I settled on for clearing the campaign was Serval, March, Asta, and Natasha. This gives us good skill point economy and a good variety of elements for March to inherit. March herself is a game changer for new accounts. Normally new accounts would have to run something like Serval and Den Hang or Serval and Herta on their leveling teams, but March provides more elemental coverage, does more damage, is very skill point positive, and through breaking, makes things a lot easier for Natasha to heal. Great character, and she's only going to get better with more Eidolons. In the end, I was able to get to Synchro level 40. Not all the rewards, and it's too bad to leave them on the table, but I needed to get some sleep after all this content. Alright, let's review the account progress after the first week. We have reached Trailblaze level 51. In terms of characters, all the main characters that we are planning to use for the endgame have been leveled to 70. We'll talk more about the character selection in the next episode, but for now the main thing is that we got all the Eidolons for March, which is very helpful, as well as the main Eidolons for Harmony main character. Getting the rest of these is just a matter of completing some side content in Penacony, which we'll do in the following week. We have also assembled a war chest of credits, a war chest of XP books, as well as Aether and Relic XP, as well as actually a decent amount of trace materials. that we have pre-farmed. If you're paying attention, you can probably guess what characters we're going to be pulling next patch. Normally the advice for new accounts is to farm books because those are the most efficient at low equilibriums. But my advice is actually, because the game gives you so many XP books at this point, to farm trace materials right away. In addition, we've also farmed up 29,000 Stellar Jade from completing the content so far. This is about half of what we expect to get. The remaining half is hidden behind Simulated Universe and the various events that we have not yet completed. And so this was going to be going into our pools next week. Finally, we also actually got some decent relics. I want one watchmaker set at least on the break team, and we got some decent pieces for that. But we also got some decent crit pieces. The best one of these actually being this attack boot for the Grand Duke set, which is going to be pretty good on a follow-up character. And what's interesting about this foot piece is that I'm pretty sure I have a pretty similar 5-roll that I also got just from completing quests on the other free-to-play account. So I have a feeling that a lot of these relics are preset. I like to finish my episodes with pulls, and we have accumulated 45 warps on the standard banner from finishing all of that content. This is actually going to get us into guaranteed pity on the standard banner. So we are getting a 5-star with these pulls. In terms of what we're looking for, Bronya is decent. In terms of my plans, I actually think she's not going to be that impactful, and we might even not level her. But a Himiko Eidolon is always welcome. What we are really looking for in terms of 5 stars is actually a Bronya light cone, because that would be pretty good on Robin. And in terms of 4 stars, we really want the Gallagher for the break team. If we can get a Gallagher, that would be ideal. Let's get started. 10 pulls. Gets us a Pella and an Eidolon. Not something that we're planning to use immediately. Healing light cone, not necessary. We have plenty of satisfaction multiplication, and we get a Knight on the Milky Way, which is interesting for Himiko. She's been using the 4-star light cone. Do I spend resources to level this light cone? Maybe. Her main job will be in Memory of Chaos on the troop as well as Pure Fiction, and I think this Knight on the Milky Way could be pretty decent at pushing some more damage out of a team. We also get a Shui. Shui is now guaranteed for new players because she comes in Apocalyptic Shadow, but having an early copy is decent because I think there might be a use case for her. I'm a bit concerned about the deer. This Dan Hang Eidolons is not that useful. Let's keep pulling. Serval, Light Cone, not that useful at this point. Mediation's not great. We want some multiplication Eidolons. Okay, we got one. Those will be good for our healers. And we get a Herda Eidolon. So this is interesting. So Herda Eidolons were actually a lot more valuable in my previous playthrough because previously you were not guaranteed to get E6 Herda. But with the new Simulated Universe floor coming out in the new patch, we're actually going to get that last Eidolon for Herda. So this last Herda Eidolon, pretty good because it gets E6, and E6 is important for Herda, but not necessarily for ours. And I'm actually not sure we're going to be building Herda, which is kind of surprising. But if you were paying attention, while I was filming this video, the new patch actually rolled out. And so the new triple banner and Fei Shao are now available. But I'm not going to do these polls right now. I'm actually going to do them in the next episode. I'll see you guys next week.